Hello, everybody. It's 6:45 p.m. Central Time on the 3rd of August, 2025. It's Sunday evening here in the United States, and I hope you're doing well. This is my second video in as much days, and I'm going to be uploading this to YouTube when I'm done live here on Twitch. We have a few developments that have taken place since doing my video last night. As a matter of fact, last night, while my video was premiering on YouTube, we had an announcement of a few things happening, and I'm going to show them to you here now. We're looking at the Volcanic Ash Advisory Center, and this is a site that I use, and I recommend you guys use as well. If you're watching on YouTube later on after I upload this, I'll put the link down below for this, for Volcano Discovery Volcanic Ash Advisory Center, and you can go down the list and start to pay attention to the volcanoes that normally erupt, like Semeru and Santiagudo and Ibu in Indonesia. But then you'll start to see other volcanoes that don't normally show up on the list, and that's when you pay attention to them, such as Krasheninnikov from Russia. This hasn't erupted since the year 1500, 1550. It's been a long time since this thing erupted, and it went 28,000 feet high. I'm going to show you where it is up in Russia. It's right next to where the big earthquake struck up in Kamchatka. Now today, Kluchevskoy did a 28,000 foot high blast. So that's two volcanoes in the same peninsula, both doing 28,000 foot high blast. And then we have another volcano further down the list, Lewotobi, that did a 63,000 foot high blast. FL 630, followed up by FL 370, which is 37,000, and then FL 450, which is 45,000 feet. So we had several large eruptions take place right towards the end of my broadcast. That's when we were made aware of that. Again, they happened all yesterday evening. Huge volcanic activity. We're going to go look it up. And this volcano that hasn't erupted in 500 years, right next to where the earthquake is. We'll put that in first here. We'll paste that in because that's the hardest one to even pronounce. So we'll go up into Kamchatka's peninsula and notice, look where we're going. There it is. Okay, this volcano has not erupted in 500 years. And there's video of it on social media. You can go look it up. I think it's actually, people have like copyrighted it already because it's a very rare occurrence to get this one going. Okay, but then you have others in the region that are also going. Kluchevskoy, okay, that's a normal regular eruptor, and that's up here. And then we have others that, or I'm sorry, we have several that are erupting across Kamchatka, but the ones that are huge are the ones that we need to pay attention to. So 30,000 foot high blasts basically are worth paying attention to. And then Lewotobi, we'll go type that in. Lewo, oh, there, top search. I guess a lot of people have been searching on Google. Okay, Lewotobi, or maybe I've searched it enough that it's just saved in there. There we go. So there's Lewotobi volcano, and here we are in Indonesia just for a perspective of location. And it's a 63,000 foot high blast from Lewotobi, which is very rare. We don't normally see that happen. So while those are going on, then while my video was premiering, a 6.4 earthquake struck down here in the South Pacific, right down in between our two X's on the fracture zone that goes this way. We can follow it. You see the undersea mounts, they all go in the same direction, right back to where our deep earthquakes have been taking place. And it goes right down here. That's why we have the X's there. It was struck. Then a new 7.0 earthquake was reported up here. They've now downgraded to 6.8 to 6.9. But let's just call it a 7 or upper 6. And there it is. South tip of Kamchatka now. So I have to stress this, that this earthquake here is not tied directly to the 8.0 that struck all the way up here, 200, 300 miles, 300 miles to the north was our 8.0. There's our 8. The new 7 is hundreds of miles to the south, following the plate boundary. And this distinctly matters because again, this is a terminology thing. I don't think people are really going to pay attention too hard unless you're really into earthquakes. And I would even have called these aftershocks back when I was first starting, or when I was covering this stuff, 2011, 2012, I would have thought these were aftershocks, but they're not. This is the plate boundary itself breaking. Let's go over and take a look and see that here's today's earthquakes. 4.5 plus. And you can see it. Our 8.0 earthquake up here on the north side, and that was from 4 days ago now. And for the last 4 days, it's been breaking and breaking and breaking all the way down here towards the south. And now look where we are. We're distinctly in the Kuril Islands now, spreading to the south. With the breaking is spreading to the south, following the plate boundary. So our 7 down here and our 8 up here, they're both tied together, and that the plate boundary itself is breaking. So this is very significant. We have to pay attention to it over the next several days until this either spreads away or starts to decrease in magnitudes. But we went back up. We're at 7.0. Again, look at our key to the bottom of the screen here. There's 30 miles, 50 miles there. Here's the 100-mile key. So 100, 200, maybe 300 miles of an area that's moving. The 8 was at the north side, the 7's on the south side, and we're creeping back down this way, down towards Japan. And let's go look at the smaller earthquakes now. Let's get the 5's on there. Turn down the rings so we can at least see everything. You see now? Okay, so this new 7 here is surrounded by a cluster of other earthquakes over the past several days. Look at it. It's like a line going down towards the Kuril Islands. And we're stopping just shy of the Aleutian Islands. And we'll go back to the USGS map and look what's there. It's a hard bend in the plate there. It's like an arrow shape almost, a pinnacle shape. And we're stopping just shy of there with hardly anything going over to the east. This is almost like a river that's been blocked. And back behind it is piling up and piling up and piling up. And we would expect it to break with a new big earthquake, a second big earthquake, if you want to look at it like that. That's what I talked about last night. So now here we are, and we have multiple large volcanic blasts taking place. Again, we went months and months without any significant volcanic activity. And then in the same day, we get a volcano that hasn't erupted in 500 years with a 30,000 foot high blast, or 28,000 foot high blast up in Russia. And then followed by or around at the same time down here in Indonesia, right here, we get our 63,000 foot high blast, 45,000, 37,000. And that's just where we're starting again. My update yesterday still stands. Everything I said in the update still stands on YouTube. The only additions we have to add in is that our X's were checked off the mark. We checked these off during the update. A 5. I talked about this in the update yesterday. A 5 hit here, and I go, oh, wow, look, our X got hit. Well, now, again, a new 6.4 struck there, and we're moving on all sides of Antarctica. We're moving on all sides of the West Pacific. That's the far West Pacific, the Northwest Pacific, and the Southwest Pacific, South Central Pacific, Southeast Pacific, and even going all the way over to our X's at the South Sandwich Islands, which is the South Atlantic. Let me back it out to show it to you this way. This is 48 hours worth of earthquakes, guys. So it's a large area that's moving very quickly. A large area moving quickly with a fair amount of magnitude tied to it. It's not like these are 0s and 1s. These are 5s, mid-range 5s popping off here and there around the outside edge of the plate boundary to the south. That's a lot of movement. Then you add this in up on the north side. Our smaller earthquake activity going across over to the east still, letting us know that Alaska's primed. I would let my viewers know right now that up in Alaska, I don't think we're going to get out of this. Look, you're at 0s, 1s, 2s with a 3, a few 3s. Over to your west, a few thousand miles over to your west, you've got all this going on, and it's increasing in magnitude again. We're going up to 7.0. That's not an aftershock. In my assessment, when we're talking hundreds of miles away and a cluster around it, it's a new area that's breaking. Okay? And that means the people over in Alaska have to keep an eye on this. This is like a river that's been blocked. Sooner or later, it's going to be going over to the east, over towards the United States, and we're going to be talking about a huge seismic increase in the United States once that happens. Clearly, we can tell where the wave is still trapped, and very little is reaching out over to the east. We will know when it's reached out over to the east, when a new earthquake strikes over to the east that's very significant. But I'm still watching this. We're going to watch this. I told you guys we're going to watch until it either starts to spread out or calm down. And right now, it's not doing either. It's not spreading out or calming down. Instead, it's being fed new energy from our new deep earthquakes that are taking place across the West Pacific. Now, in my update yesterday, it's saved on a video on YouTube, so you can go back and listen. We talked about this deep earthquake below Mount Krakatau, here at Sumatra, Java, Indonesia juncture, and we talked about the deep earthquake over here at Papua New Guinea, and we talked about the deep earthquakes here at Fiji. And I said two of them were at volcanoes directly. The one over here, for instance, again, we were going over next to Katovar, east of Katovar, next to Manam and so forth. And over to the west, we're below Krakatau. Well, guess what's right in the halfway point between these two? The big eruption, the big 63,000 foot eye blast just took place right here. And if we go around the bends of the plate, it's not too far of a distance. This is the halfway point. Pretty much right here is where, that not just pretty much, that is the halfway point between the two sets of deep earthquakes. Both deep earthquakes were at other volcanoes. So I think these two volcanic chambers were a precursor sign letting us know something was coming in the middle to the volcanoes in the middle. I mean, come on, Mount Krakatau and Manam, two sides, thousands of miles apart. I think that means we should probably watch here as well in between these two for a new eruption to take place. Wouldn't you? If one happened, wouldn't the other? I'm not forecasting eruptions, by the way. Maybe I should start. So let's go across the Pacific because we have something else to talk about here really quick. A new, somewhat rare deep earthquake struck here at the Peru-Brazil border, on the Brazil side of the border. Now you'll notice there's a little triangular shaped border region here between Peru and Brazil. Now there's a little story to this location. Go back to, I want to say it was the week before Christmas, 2017, or was it 2018? I'll have to go back. The story is, deep earthquake struck here. There was a deep 6.8 or 6.9. And that led me to issue a warning for a shallower, larger earthquake, up to 7.9, to be striking next to the deep earthquake by Christmas. So everybody, it was middle of December. I issue my warning and I tell the people in South America they need to watch for a 7.9 to strike. And I based it on this deep earthquake that happened, again, this is several years ago, at this location right here. The deep earthquake happened several years ago, but it was a deep 6.8, huge deep earthquake. On Christmas Day, the 8.0 hit on December 25th. And I think it was 2017. It was either 2017 or 2018. So here, it hit right here, a huge 8 hit on Christmas Day. So first a deep earthquake up here, then a shallow, large earthquake on the plate boundary to the south. So let's go look at the USGS map and see what's there. Well, they don't have much there at all, do they? Except for the actual earthquake. They have it marked, but there's nothing there at all, except for the borders between the two countries. Now, down to the south, you see the red line. Now, this is the plate boundary connected between the two, so how are they tied together? Let's go back and look at our map here and zoom in really close so you can see it. See how we have interior arrows here on the Andes Mountains going down to the south? And then down to the south, they go this way, down to our Travels Underneath point, which then goes down to the South Sandwich Islands. And right here at our letter D is a split, where we normally look for deep earthquakes to take place. So the deep earthquakes happen here normally. Like 9 out of 10 deep earthquakes in South America happen here, and it's a forecast area point where we look for it to happen. If we get a deep earthquake in another location where we don't normally expect to see it, we have to adjust the arrow split point. So let's turn down the rings here just so you can see the arrow split point. There's the D, and from the D to the north, we have the arrows pointing to the north. And from the D to the south, we have the arrows pointing to the south. On land. Out in the ocean, it's all just one way, right? So the interior part of the plate, you get a deep earthquake that's adjusted from here to here, you have to adjust your area where you're going to watch for the shallow, large earthquake to come up. So we watch in Chile. And we watch for up to a magnitude larger, which for them, if it strikes on land, wouldn't be that big of a deal if it's a 6. If it's anything bigger than a 6, it'll be a big deal. I'm trying to get it within a magnitude, so I guess potentially it does have the potential to go up above 6.9. But we watch for 6.0 level activity to come in next to this deep earthquake down to the south on the plate boundary. On the north side, we have something going on up here. A 6 already hit, 5.8, 5.9. That's in Mexico, plus 4s going down and across over into Venezuela. and 4.8 down at Nicaragua, and 4.7 over at Venezuela. They're two of the same sized earthquakes. Now let's go look at the USGS map and show you how it's connected. See this? See these red lines? All the way over here at Venezuela, we have our 4.8, and over here, we have our 4.7. And between the two, we have our red lines of the plate boundaries. Now you'll notice they don't have anything across here. And they're going to have to fill that in at some point because there is a connection across. I can show it to you on Google Earth, the connection across that the USGS somehow is missed. Or maybe they just don't want to admit it. I don't know. We'll zoom in and show it to you. See the mountains here? See that? The zigzag shape of the mountains right there that connects across and goes down and goes into here, where the other zigzags then go out to the ocean. Well, that's the spot I just showed you here that they don't have connected in. It should be a plate boundary that connects, and this is the Caribbean plate overall and separating South America from the Caribbean plate. Regardless of them having it on here, you have to imagine the earthquakes are connected across there because the mountains obviously show it. USGS map is just insufficient in this location. So let's go back and look one more time. We have a 6.0 up here in Mexico. Then we have 4.8 right here off the coast of Central America. There's a volcano right there that just started to erupt, and that's Telica. Telica volcano started to erupt there, which is, I think that's, hold on. Santiaguido, I'm sorry, did I say Telica? Wow, that's a big difference. Santiaguido in Guatemala started to erupt. Maybe I saw Telica. Oh, no, it is. Light volcanic ash emissions from Telica in Nicaragua. It's not normally on the list. So, going back to it one more time, right here, we've got now two sets of volcanoes that are erupting. Santiaguido is right where the letter V is in Guatemala. Letter V stands for volcanoes. And Telica is right down here. Okay, I want to go look into Mexico and just go see what's at the location at San Ildefonso Villa Alta, Mexico. Okay, that's one heck of a name right there, isn't it? Let's put the coordinates in and go see what's there. We're going into Mexico now. Here we go. All right. Oh, they just shut the door for me. God bless them. I had a door open and a fan on out there. Okay. So in Mexico, there's a few things I think people need to be aware of. All the volcanoes up here to the north, for instance, see the ones that are marked from the Smithsonian? Now, we'll zoom in and show you, while there's some that are marked from the Smithsonian, there's maybe 10,000 of them that are not. So these are all volcanoes. Every one of these is a spatter cone of some kind, you see? Maybe I need to turn it at an angle so you can see that they're the height. Yeah, okay, see? So that's 3 right there, but I mean, we just keep going on and on and on and on and on and on and just zoom in any valley and any one of these. And we're now going in a huge section across Mexico. I just showed you that, but it goes all the way down here and all the way across here. All of these are volcanoes. Every single one with smaller spatter cones on the sides. So it's not exaggeration to say there's 10,000 or more volcanoes that are not marked across here. But we go down here and there's more of the same going on where they're just not marked for some reason. Again, there's too many to study. So I wanted to zoom in and just see if there's anything else here worth noting. I mean, we do have hillsides and we do have mining that might be going on in the location that might play into things. Down here, we have more of the volcanoes. All of these are small spatter cone volcanoes. There may even be 100,000 of them. I mean, there's that many. So to say that it's related to volcanism, yes, it's related to volcanism. I just wanted to see if there's anything right here at the epicenter itself. So as far as I can tell, we're just connecting through with the volcanoes directly next to the volcanic field, which is not a surprise with everything else that's going on the rest of the planet now. So volcanism comes roaring back all of a sudden. I mean, this is wild, guys. This is wild. So it started with two 7.4s 2 weeks ago, or almost 3 weeks ago at this point. Two 7.4s, one in Alaska, then one here at Kamchatka, then a big outbreak of 6s around the plate, then an 8.0 earthquake, or upper 7, 7.9, 8.0. It was not an 8.8. They're going to adjust that back down at some point, I think, in the next month or so. But then they issued that tsunami warning that shouldn't have been issued for Hawaii, whatever. So huge earthquake struck there. Now we've responded with other large earthquake activity, 6.4 down at Point Nemo, all the way down here, the bottom side of the plate, or the south side of the plate, bordering with Antarctica. And it's just the halfway point across. Really, the reason it's called Point Nemo, they actually do a lot of satellite crashes there. They'll bring spacecraft down there. It's the furthest point from land anywhere on the planet before getting to land. So out here you've got a huge distance of water, and they bring stuff down there at Point Nemo. But we're on the plate boundary there, on the east-northeast edge of Antarctica. And then we have to get into talking about Antarctica, because Antarctica, in case you didn't know, I'm about to blow your mind with some knowledge that I had to find out myself, and it was quite disturbing for me to find this out. But look at Antarctica, okay? You see the white of Antarctica, okay? But I want you to look at the outside edge of the plate boundary. We're not going to go too far into this, but I want you to look at the very far outside edge of the plate boundary around Antarctica. And I want you to see it goes up to a point here in the Indian Ocean. And then you'll see it's symmetrical on either side, and it comes back down. Now, this shape here, this five-sided pentagonal shape, is a shape that we've seen before in structures that were built by humans that are known as bastion forts, or star forts, as many call them, because they look like stars that have five-sided pentagons that stick off each edge. But this is the plate boundary itself for Antarctica. And from all the way back here on the back side of it, out to the very tip of it, out here in the Indian Ocean, I did a measurement. And I did this live with my viewers so that everybody could see it. We're going to go over to Google Earth so you can see it on Google Earth. Here we go. So here is Antarctica, the same way we're just looking at it on the NOAA map. And again, even on Google Earth, you can see this with the curvature of the Earth and everything. But it's five-sided, and if you measure from back here in the middle, you go right through the South Pole. Here's the South Pole, the physical South Pole. Google has like jack imagery for Antarctica, by the way. But if you measure from on the plate boundary back here, and there's a volcano on the middle of the plate boundary that they've taken a lot of time to come out here and get a view on. Undersea bathymetric measurements there. Look how many ships have gone there to go get a shot of it. Anyway, that's on the back side. And if you go right through the South Pole, out to the very tip out here, and zoom in out here, it's 13,000 feet deep right at the tip of the plate boundary right here. And the distance is what I'm going to get at here. You're not going to believe it. But I've already done the measurements, so it's not even up for debate. And there's the line. I already did the line tool measurement on it, guys, just to show you what I'm talking about. From the back, from that volcano out to the very tip, it's unbelievable the distance. It is 6,666 miles to the very bottom of the ridge. And if you go to the top, up here where it starts, it's 6,660 miles. So it's either 6,660 miles to the top of the ridge, or you go all the way down to the very bottom of it where it goes into the seafloor there. And that's 6,666 exact miles, including the curvature of the Earth. And it passes through the South Pole. It's just, and it's a five-sided pentagonal star fort shape. What do you say about that? Well, when you see where it points to the Indian Ocean. And then you see what looks like an avenue that connects into India here. This is India up here. And this points like a waveguide or something, points right to it. And then we get into some other weird stuff, which is here's Asia, Europe, and we get into it being a symmetrical giant triangle matching on both sides all the way out. And most people didn't know this, but Italy matches the UK, Sardinia matches Ireland, and then out here in the tip of Europe, if you want to think of it that way, this is Spain and Portugal here, and it makes up its own five-sided pentagonal star fork shape. But look at the distance. By the way, Madrid is right in the middle of there. And that's at the tip of this, and that's pointing back to this, and that connects back to this five-sided pentagonal star fork shape. We got some weird stuff going on, and the only way I found this was the earthquakes that were striking on the sides of it and down below it. It was the last week's worth of earthquakes. Right out at the tip of it, even. The only thing missing is over to the west side, and that would fill it all in, and the whole thing will have earthquakes all the way around it in the five-sided pentagonal shape. It's just mind-blowing. I don't know what it means. I mean, we could go into cymatics and how this could form naturally. A five-sided pentagonal star fork shape over 6,666 miles could naturally form. I mean, I guess. But I'm leaning more towards an artificial means of some kind to get to those results. But that would mean somebody a long time ago had access to technology that we today could barely even fathom. But cymatics are understandable. Vibration of something to create a geometric shape using sound. But what if it was done with radio waves or plasma or something else? And what if it was a tremendous amount of power? But that would mean people a long time ago had access to stuff that we don't have access to today yet. Maybe we do have, but just keep download. Oh, okay. Don't want to get into that. Next thing you know, we're going to find the Loch Ness Monster. Oh, wait, never mind. By the way, if you guys would like to get any Dutch Synths merch, not trying to do a shameless plug here, but if you want to get some Dutch Synths merch, I think you might be intrigued to see what's in the Dutch Synths merch shop at this point, including my find in Scotland, next to Loch Ness. If you don't know about the find in Scotland next to Loch Ness, I've got merch in my shop, which I'll drop a link to so you guys don't have to go find it. And you can go see the Loch Ness merch that I'm selling in. Yes, yeah, I found Nessie. Yes, yes, we found Nessie. You wouldn't believe it. No, I really did. I'm not joking. You think I'm joking? I'm not. But it's not what you think. It's amazing, though. It's been hidden for 300 years. Hidden for 300 years. Yeah, it's in my merch store if you want to get it. Shameless plug. Now let's wrap this up by telling everybody you need to be prepared for earthquake activity to go up over the next few days. Look at our deep earthquakes going from South America, rare location, across Fiji, well-known location for our deep earthquakes, to another somewhat rare location here below Manam in eastern Papua New Guinea. Then another deep earthquake at another rare location below Krakatau. In between them, we have a huge blast here, 63,000 foot high. We go to the north, and of course, I don't need to tell you about the huge outbreak that's taking place at Kamchatka, but the blasts that are taking place, two sets of blasts, and when we see those blasts taking place at, what's the name of the place? Krasheninnikov. Hasn't erupted in 500 years. And then next to it, Kluchevskoy does the same size blast, 28,000 foot, back to back. Now this one is now listed at 18. That's a second or secondary warning on that. You go back to when it happened, it was at 28,000. Okay, so it's a big deal to see this all happen. The volcanoes kicking off was not really expected by me. I was expecting just to have the seismic on our table, this on our plate. But now we are really going. The deep earthquakes are spread across a huge distance. That's at least half the planet. Well, it is half the planet. We go from Peru all the way across to Indonesia with deep earthquakes in the last day. So deep earthquakes are a sign that there's going to be something coming up. These are down below. And then something comes up after the deep earthquakes. So first, when you see something like this, it's like a pincushion going across half the planet. It lets you know at least half the planet is going to go through something else. Now, people are asking me about the United States. Well, I talked about the New Jersey earthquake in my update yesterday. There's nothing more to add to it. They didn't change the location or the magnitude. It was felt across the area. Even in downtown New York, people felt it. So it was shallow, and it did make the news. And so if you're in the area, just understand, we were looking for New Jersey to get hit. I talked about this in my seismic update 2 weeks ago. And all my viewers, if you're here in the chat room now on Twitch live, Or if you're watching this in the premiere on YouTube, press 1 in the chat room if you got my warning for New Jersey to return back. And the reason we were looking for New Jersey, it was just the halfway point between our previous earthquakes from that time. We had an earthquake down here in South Carolina and another one up in Maine, and the halfway point between them was New Jersey. And we came in 1 magnitude less, which is good. 4.0 down in Texas, 3.9. Then a 3.4 to 3.5 here at the oil pumping operations in Kansas. Then a 3 down at the New Madrid seismic zone at the Missouri-Arkansas border. And then a 3 struck up to the northeast. Now between them, a new 2.2 to 2.4 struck. And over on the West Coast, multiple 3s are now taking place. We're going all across California with 3s. And I'd like to go look them up, at least the ones to the north. Well, we don't even need to look them up. What am I saying? We can see them right here. We're on the Gorda Escarpment. Then we go down to the south, and we're on the San Andreas. The only one I would really need to go look up is this 3.4 to find out exactly where it is. I think I know what's there. There is a volcano at this location. But let's just prove that. Think versus know is 2 different things. Let's go find out. And let me get a sip of my coffee while we're doing that. We're drinking the Upshot Coffee Company. A shameless plug for them. I don't get anything for it. I hope they get some sales out of this. I'll share a link with you guys if you want to get the coffee I'm drinking. It can ship anywhere in the United States. It's good. It's really good. I don't know them. They don't know me, but man. All right. I said there was a good volcano here, didn't I? Sure did. Let's zoom in and show you. So do you see this? Well, let me zoom in some more. There we go. Do you see these? These are geothermal turbines and pipelines. The pipelines go out to drill points where they've drilled into the volcanic field, and the volcano is right here. It's called Cerro Prieto or Cerro Prieto. And maybe we can get the volcanism program turned on here. We can get the information from the Smithsonian Institution on this. There we go. So you guys can pause it and read it. I'll just tell you it hasn't erupted in a long time. And in the center of it, you'll always remember this volcano because of the graffiti that people did on the inside. Yes, that is a phoenix with what looks like a hexagon with the sun symbol of the occult sun. You've got a cube. You've got some occultism. You got a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a bunch of graffiti. Now, if I ever see Dutch synths get written in rocks here, I'm going to have to ask you guys not to do that. Don't do that. Okay, let's move on. So that's where the earthquake is. It's at a volcano. The one up to the north is on the San Andreas. Now, we do have a 2.5. Hold on. Now, wait a second. Let's look at our smaller earthquakes and just see what's going on here. We have a rare 2.5 in Arizona. Aguila, Arizona. Well, I need to look this up. I know it's just a 2.5, but we hardly ever get earthquake activity in Arizona. So normally 9.9 out of 10 earthquakes are over to the west, over in California. This one's bizarre. Alamo Lake. Ah, water weight? Okay, we could have a water weight earthquake tied in here. We have our volcanism turned on. We don't have any volcanoes nearby, at least not marked. Up here to the north, many miles away. Let's see how far those are. I only look 40 miles, so these look further than that. Yeah, 70 or 80 miles, twice the distance that I normally look for volcanoes. What's this? Hold on. Farming? The 15 Circles tourist attraction. I have no idea, guys. Look, we start getting into some weird stuff there. Let's go up here to the north and see if there's anything worth mentioning on the north side. What do we have going on here? A juncture? What is this? The Wayside Oasis. Out in the desert. You've got a small little trailer town. Ah, mining world. Ah, okay, that would explain the lake and everything too. They flood areas where they find a lot of gold. You know that, right? And the gold is usually accompanied by ancient volcanism nearby. So, wait, this location is called Nothing, Arizona. And then right here, look at what we have. Looky here. Baghdad, Arizona, and a giant open pit mine. Usually this is for gold, but I don't know. So let's see if we have our Google community. Please, Google community, let us know. Well, oh boy, we would almost need to actually look this mine up. They're not telling us easily. So that usually means precious materials. Otherwise, they would tell you. Well, there's only one way to find out. BAGDAD, Arizona mine. Copper. Copper. All right. Baghdad mine is a large copper mine. Molybdenum. Okay. Wow, they don't have anything on the geologic of the area. That's okay. Well, I mean, I'll just tell you, ancient volcanism. I mean, you get copper and you get the precious metals next to ancient volcanism. For instance, gold mine out at Pisgah Crater out in California, for instance. Gold at the diamonds too. You get gold and diamonds and copper and all kinds of stuff. All right, there we go. Oh wow, I'm glad I looked it up. So we don't have anything else to talk about. Again, these are our new developments since doing my update yesterday. If you want to get more up to speed on the earthquakes on what struck on the West Coast, there's nothing new to add today except for our earthquakes down south. Microquake wise, small earthquake wise, nothing's changed. It's all the same locations. So, for instance, the oval shape that I talked about around Lake Tahoe Pyramid Lake, the ancient supervolcano, over to the east, same spots, the nuke test sites going up to the north, up to our ancient volcano there in Nevada. And the creeping section of the San Andreas going down to the valley to the pumping operations in the valley. So that all stands. There's nothing to change from last night's video till tonight. But the big change for me is the volcanism. Our volcanoes are starting to light up, guys. We're getting seismic at the volcanoes, like the deep earthquakes that I talked about yesterday. And then between them, huge blast takes place at a volcano that hasn't sent off a huge blast in a long time, Lewotobi. Up to the north, the 500-year blast. While all this is going on, now I want to let me just remind everybody something. In 2011 and 2012, Japan had its big earthquake. And then following Japan, there were a series of 7s and 8s that went all the way around the Pacific plate. And a bunch of volcanoes erupted on the day that Japan went. The day that Japan went in 2011, I want to say it was 20 volcanoes in a day. It was a huge number of blasts. Right after Japan, boom, 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 volcano. All the professionals said there was no relation between big earthquake activity and volcanism that happens nearby. They tried to say it was chance. Now, there's been 15 years of examples of this where we'll get a huge earthquake and then we'll have a huge eruption next to where the huge earthquake happened, and the professionals say they're not related. The most recent was the Hunga Tonga Hunga Ha'api blast and the large earthquake that happened right next to it afterwards. There's been other examples. So why the professionals denied previously is because I think there was only a few people online talking about it and they didn't have any literature really to back it up. But now it's like, it's like old knowledge or something. Everybody's just like, oh, wow, yeah, of course there's a relation. Oh, man, and we're not done yet. So in the West Pacific, we have to keep watch. But over west, let's just round this out over to the west, which is we have a series of earthquakes breaking out on our arrows heading out of the Indo-Australian plate towards Europe. Notice the rest of the planet is distinctly lacking megaquake activity, 7.0 level activity. We were looking for Turkey to get hit 2 weeks ago now almost, and instead it went radio silent. for large earthquakes across all of Asia and Europe. When I say large earthquakes, no sixes. Nothing 6.0 or greater across whole regions here while it's stuck here. And it's been now almost 5 days of this thing going. So almost a week of this going on its own. And then we have to go back right before that, the 7.4 that struck in Alaska. It's a lot to go on. And with these new eruptions, I just want to go check one more time. Go hit the eruption list and just hit refresh. See if there's anybody new on the list. Man, the way things are going, it's like I'll have to check every time I do an update. So I'm not seeing anything huge on the list right now, except for Klujevskoy. It's not exactly huge, 28,000. But Krasheninnikov, that one's still on the list. Telika is on the list. Light volcanic ash emissions there. If you see anything big, please let me know. 6,000 foot, not that big at Lewotobi. Lewotobi is different than Lewotobi. Semeru in Indonesia, 15,000 foot. That's not that big. Popocatépetl in Mexico. Whoops. What was that? It was like Lenin or something. Picture of Lenin just popped up on the screen for a second. All right. All my communist viewers are going to love that. Oh, they're going to love that. Yes, comrade. Yes. You are very much to be welcome in Russia. You know, I'm like, oh, no. Okay, all right. Now, I want you guys to have an earthquake plan. This is just going to be, you need to know what to do when an earthquake hits, especially if you live along where these arrows point. I'm one of the people who lives along the arrows. I live in the New Madrid seismic zone. So we just have to generally know what to do when an earthquake hits. Of course, that's going to be take shelter. If it's a large earthquake, you want to take shelter underneath something. Don't get underneath a glass table. Don't get underneath a little flimsy plastic table. You need to be underneath something that will actually be able to withstand falling drywall and other things that could possibly fall in a large earthquake. Now, if you're not confident in your structure, you need to have an evacuation plan that's safe and effective. Those words, did they trigger you? You're like, huh? Everybody's like, what? Wait, safe and effective. Don't say that, Dutch. Okay, you need to have a plan that is sufficient for you to go outside and not be hit by things that are falling and be away from power lines, gas lines, sewer lines, water lines, and other people that are maybe in cars or other things. So you're going to need to know where to go ahead of time. You need to plan it like a fire drill for the earthquakes, and then have an emergency kit that you can grab at a moment's notice and keep the emergency kit by your door or by your exit so you can grab it easy. Somewhere nearby that you can get it. And change of clothes, set of shoes, flashlight, batteries, first aid kit, and sanitation are absolutely required. Food and water will be something that you probably also would want to have taken care of. But these are all things that you should be able to do relatively cheap, and they'll come in for multiple disasters. So it's not like just for an earthquake. You can use your emergency kit if the power goes out. I found that I've used my emergency kit several times when the power goes out at any location that I've got an emergency kit at. I use it. So power outages, fires, if you have to evacuate a house, well, you could have all the stuff you need in your emergency kit, all the important documents and everything, copies of stuff in the emergency kit. If there's a fire, well, I mean, you could at least grab it and it would have all the copies of all the stuff that you need, extra sets of keys for cars and all that other stuff that you could have in a bag ready to go. And it's just a matter of taking the time to do it. You should already have most of the stuff in your house already, or dollar store it if you're on a budget. Also, if you're really poor, you might be on food stamps or welfare of some kind. The government actually covers that kind of stuff. You can make those kind of purchases with your EBT or welfare. I've had people tell me this. I don't know personally, but and then dollar store it as well. I mean, you can probably get a lot for a little. And first aid and sanitation, I don't think anybody's going to care whether or not it's a name brand wet wipe to get yourself clean after a disaster. Okay. Anyway, you guys be safe. Much love. I'll be back if anything else goes down, and watch that volcano list. Wasn't expecting to see 63,000 foot anything or 500-year anything going off while this big earthquake is taking place. Let's just go with the USGS for a second. They said that it was the 6th largest earthquake in recorded history. I don't think it was. I think it was more like an 8, not an 8.8. But let's just go with it for a second. Let's devil's advocate with the USGS. And okay, sure, it was an 8.8. It was the 6th largest earthquake in human history, and then followed by the eruption that doesn't happen but every 500 years, and followed by a whole swarm of earthquakes going 400 miles out from it. I don't know. Guys, to me, it says the plate boundary is breaking. Thus, we're getting triggering of volcanic chambers. We're also getting multiple large earthquakes spreading out multiple hundreds of miles. The signs are there that we may be looking at a larger earthquake coming, and it's taking longer than Japan. Japan took 2 days from the point where the 7.2 struck till the 9.0. This has now been almost 5 days of this going up in Kamchatka. And it doesn't look like it's slowing down, especially with the eruption. The eruptions say revving up. And when all that magma is released, blows out as lava or effusive, or blows out in a blast, there's actual shifting that happens after that as well along the plate boundary. So, I mean, even if we didn't have this seismic going on here, if we got 2 blasts like this, 2 30,000 foot high blast and a 63,000 foot high blast, all in the same day across the West Pacific, I would already tell my viewers, guys, looks like we're looking at another large earthquake in the West Pacific. It's kind of no-brainer. But you add that into the current seismic, and man, it really looks like we're going through it. So, next step up, we just took it. It's not up for debate if we took it. The volcanoes just blew. So the next step beyond that is large earthquakes. Bigger than what the USGS reported. Or, I'm sorry, bigger than what just struck. Probably as big as what the USGS actually reported, which is kind of scary. So I don't normally say things are scary. But don't be scared. You should be prepared. But when we're dealing with extremely large earthquakes, and we only have a short period of time we have to watch, I'll admit it. Get a little antsy. Start looking over my shoulder. So let me look over my shoulder. You guys be prepared, and I'll be on if anything else goes down. If a large earthquake hits, I'll be on with you, and we'll all go through it together. Okay? Word up. Peace out. Much love. Be safe. And we'll see you back here as soon as possible.